there is two big highlights that study is demonstrating. The very first one, as you said, is our platform has demonstrated a 5% reduction in healthcare costs, okay, in that specific study, which is the very first time that we are going, that an organization is going so far into research in order to have some a cost benefit analysis, which might be very important for insurer.
The point here is really how do you balance frequency and intensity, and we have to actually engage users with both to maximize the health journey.
And basically, it also demonstrates that the frequency of the usage had a greater impact on the health of the users than the intensity, meaning that people coming often to the platform were having better outcome in terms of health than those that were maybe coming less, but with maybe a bigger workout or a bigger engagement at this time.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are going to talk about gamification in healthcare. And this is great because, today we are going to share some scientific proof for some of the gamification mechanics. So I'm really excited about that. And we have two wonderful guests today. We have Geoffrey Schiavon and Jonas Minke from dacadoo. Hi, guys.
Hello,
Hi.
how are you?
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us. And today we are going to go through, as I said before, scientific study for starters, and then we are going to discuss gamification, but in a specific context. First of all, it's healthcare, and second of all, we are going to discuss designing for frequency versus designing for intensity. And we are going to take some expert advice from you guys, and actually, just learn how to improve member engagement. So I believe that this video will be really informative for the audience. But I believe that some of the people might not be familiar with dacadoo yet. So I just wanted to ask you for a brief introduction of dacadoo and its role in healthcare.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, Eric. So we are, so dacadoo is the global leader in health scoring and lifestyle navigation. We provide a digital health engagement solution, and this solution delivers positive outcomes for the enterprises that we deliver this to and for their customers. We have an API platform where clients can build platforms, can build apps, can build services on top of it, but we also provide a white label with mobile applications that is brandable. And in addition to our health score and risk engine that can score users based on many, many factors in the health area. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Definitely, we are going to share a link to a case study that we did some time ago. Then you can have a look on the platform and see exactly, what it is. I'm also very happy because both dacadoo and Open Loyalty, they fit into a certain coherent ecosystem. So this is great. Okay, so let's just jump into the insights, because there's been a study published in December last year, so it's very fresh. It's like like 3-4, almost 4 months. And this study demonstrates that a behavior change application is linked to significant reductions in healthcare costs. So I wanted you to ask about, sharing the insights from the report with the audience.
Sure. So as you said, that study has been published 4 months ago, and what is important to highlight is dacadoo has nothing to do with that study. Okay, it's an independent and scientific study. I won't cover today the entire study. Of course not. Different reason for that. Of course, the study is available, and we'll share the links. We have been also publishing a new white paper if people wants to go deeper also into that. This is available on our website. But there is two big highlights that study is demonstrating. The very first one, as you said, is our platform has demonstrated a 5% reduction in healthcare costs, okay, in that specific study, which is the very first time that we are going, I mean, that an organization is going so far into research in order to have some a cost benefit analysis, which might be very important for insurer. And the second thing that study has been demonstrating, so that study has been conducted by the University of Groningen in Netherlands, okay? And basically, it also demonstrates that the frequency of the usage had a greater impact on the health of the users than the intensity, meaning that people coming often to the platform were having better outcome in terms of health than those that were maybe coming less, but with maybe a bigger workout or a bigger engagement at this time. That's pretty important for us for a lot of reasons. Of course, the 5% healthcare cost reduction is just, from our point of view, extremely important when you want to see what type of return on investment you could have on that specific population. Regarding the impact of any digital health platform, of course. The second thing is the reduction is driven by a claim frequency reduction. Okay, so that's also very important in the case of an insurer. And on our side, we have been always trying to engage our users, okay, with gamifications, with rewards, okay. Not only also because we also have some external factors such as emailing campaigns, extra that are going to engage the users. But we finally have the confirmation of our own findings, okay, that we can deliver more interactions, increase the engagement with our users, okay, and this can result on also on different things, meaning that for any insurer or retailer, because we are or healthcare, you have some actionable data. Okay, you will get more lifestyle data about your users. You will be able to have a better understanding about their needs, and then you can have a better personalization, of course, of any future campaign that you can do. So that was something important to highlight. And I would say one of the last finding that has been demonstrated in that one that was interesting from our point of view was an increase of mental health service utilization, but without a cost impact. So here, it's more an internal assumption to explain what happened here. We think that actually people were doing more prevention than curation, okay, during that moment, which has led actually to an increase of the utilization, but not an increase of the cost. Okay, so those, I would say, are the main highlights we could give with that specific independent scientific study.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing, and congratulations, because as you've mentioned, 5% of cost reduction is huge. So I believe that everyone in the audience who represents the insurance industry or any like a big enterprise, they more or less can figure out how much actually is 5%. And
And the
also,
study,
Mhm.
sorry, and the study is making the difference. Of course, the study is following that trend over a couple of years. Okay, so in year one, in year two, so the average is 5%, but actually the range is going even higher. And the study is also making a difference between basic healthcare cost, which might be very interesting for health insurance, of course, but also total healthcare cost, which might include, everything which is related to extra benefit utilization, extra, which might be, of course, interesting for both health and also life insurers.
Perfect. Yeah. And also, um, this aspect of gamification as a way to form habits. In your case, this is
Correct.
great because it's about healthy habits, and the correlation between the habit formation and also, like, the improved mental health is huge. So I believe that we are going to uncover more and more positive benefits as we actually go on, right, with the studies. Um, Perfect. So let's jump into gamification. Obviously, gamification has been a huge trend right now. Like a lot of companies, they ask us how to gamify their programs or initiatives, how to form those habits. And here in your study, there's been this division between designing for frequency and designing for intensity. So, what gamification mechanics have you found most effective in increasing habit formation and frequency of engagement?
Yeah, I would start explaining maybe a little bit what gamification is at dacadoo so that we can go first on this area.
Sure.
Um, so gamification for us is when we apply game design ideas like challenges, rewards, achievements into non-gaming context, which is our to motivate behavior of the user. So the area we are operating with our clients is lifestyle, insurances, healthcare, and retail. And this means we are encouraging the users to do something healthy. So doing healthier choices, sticking to exercise routines, maintaining positive lifestyle habits, and balancing this with their usual life. So the point here is really how do you balance frequency and intensity, and we have to actually engage users with both to maximize the health journey. So we have daily goals where the user can follow a goal on a daily basis. For example, a very simple one: if you want to live healthier and you want to eat more fruits, uh, you should have fruits near you where you work. For example, I bring to work an apple, an orange, and I just have it on my table. And this will make sure that I am sticking to this habit, and this is on a daily basis. I also try to be always active, try to go with bicycle to work. And these are the things that should be really frequent. Now we have reminders and nudges. Uh, those are automated, but they can also be managed by our clients, how frequent they want to push it. And this has to be very consistent, and you cannot overload users with too many notifications. They will just turn it off and they won't listen to anymore. So this is a very tricky balance that you have to achieve. And this is one where our people at CSM, they support our clients really well into common practices and what to apply and how to do it.
Mm. So, as I understand, the application itself is basically the tool for communication, but you also pay attention to creating the right environment for people in order to make sure that they are progressing towards their particular goals, right? So, it's also using the app, but also like changing the environment, meaning, as you said, nutritious food being available, I don't know, frequent bike rides being encouraged. How
Yeah,
does
so
Mhm.
we encourage really the users to change their environment. So we are not
Mm,
changing itself, the environment. We're not bringing fruit to the people in their job, but we are making sure that everyone knows what they should do to actually stick to those lifestyle changes that do make an impact in the end on their health.
mm.
So that's our main purpose, and where we apply gamification to help the users stick to this.
Okay, so this is this, let's say, educational and coaching component of the app where you can
Correct.
actually learn about how to make your environment mm, support you in improving the health and habits, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Um,
On in addition to these goals and really making people change their habits, we also have, for example, challenges. That's another um, big gamification feature on our platform, where users can either compete. So this means it could be a very simple one: who does the most steps, and then you have a leaderboard of the one doing the most steps. And this can be very competitive. So we also have teams challenges where
mm,
people can join in a team and then compete with the other teams and see who is doing the most. But we also have other challenges where not everyone is really looking to compete in a physical way of competition of competition, but we also have photo challenges, for example. So if people are more keen into eat maybe healthier, then we have a photo challenge of who does the most beautiful salad, and then the one with the most likes is the one that wins. So you have to find different ways to make sure that users enter in a challenge, they see the the appetite of ranking up, and maybe talking with colleagues. Hey, did you see this nice challenge? I'm in position 50. I want to beat number 48, so I will do a little bit more today. So those are other ways into applying gamification into life and health.
Mhm.
Yep.
Perfect. I mean, you've mentioned it's great that you have different ways to motivate like the people, because there is definitely a group of people who are highly competitive and they feel energized when they see themselves on the leaderboard. But then, as you've mentioned, like a team challenge for a lot of people is like, okay, I wouldn't probably go for the top of the leaderboard myself, but in this scenario, I don't want to be someone who is stopping my group from progressing, right? So it's cool that we have like different ways to motivate people.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
and the motivation, just to add on top of what Jonas was saying, the motivation also is going to change based, and we will probably talk about that later, but about with the reward. Because it's a thing to do a challenge, for instance, without a reward, but it's another one to do a challenge with a reward where people are going to be even more competitive. So we need also on our side to adjust that to make sure that it's not always the same performers, like top 5% people that are going to get the rewards. And so all those mechanisms, we are observing them, we are changing our system, we are proposing some new practices to our clients in order to make sure that they can also engage people, that are not maybe the most competitive ones, but they can still enjoy the platform and make sure that at a certain moment, my lifestyle behavior change is being rewarded.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Especially in big enterprises, I can imagine, let's say, like a fixed group of people, some pretty high performers who are always like on top of every single list. But here, if you try to find out different ways to nudge different segments, I think that this is especially important, because then like everyone is part of the initiatives, right, or part of the program.
Yeah. And what Geoffrey just mentioned regarding the extrinsic motivations with the rewarding points, um, we also put a lot of effort into making sure that the intrinsic motivation works. And this is again with the social aspects of the platform. That it's even when me and Geoffrey we go for a run together, we know that other people will see this, will cheer us up, and it just makes yourself like do more. And I
Right.
think that it really works, and we see people doing more because of this.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I can also imagine it as a really nice starting point for a, let's say, regular group of people who support each other, right? So it might start within the app as a sort of like a team challenge. And then I can easily imagine that if you find that, okay, it's actually better for me to run, in a company, in a group of colleagues or friends,
You
then
are
it
creating
might be a
a
starting point.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, exactly. And
definitely.
this community
Definitely.
just keeps you going, right?
Exactly.
Cool. This is very smart. Like it's a cool thing that you are designing and building a tool that has been tested, or actually that you are continuously testing those different ways to motivate people. Um, I have a few more questions related to the gamification, because there are different, let's say, we call it gamification mechanics, like challenges, leaderboards. You've mentioned those social incentives. um which of these seem to be most popular, for example, like from in your experience, like what would be the top mechanics when it comes to gamification in dacadoo?
It's it's a difficult question because our platform is either a white label or an API. So we do have some of our clients picking specific gamification mechanism based um, on their final objectives, on their final goal. Okay. We know that, for instance, our goals are really good to engage more frequently the users, where the challenges will be more intense. Let's say that if we do the comparison to what we were saying before. Okay.
Mm.
What is important with challenges is that social aspect. Okay. We have been discussing about the community. Well, the challenge is about that. The challenge is about friendly competition, but making sure that you don't feel alone into a platform. Okay, because and this is always a critical moment when we launch a new platform with a client. Is that acquisition phases where you start to onboard people, but at the very beginning they are alone in the platform. So you need to make sure that the community manager or the engagement manager who is behind actually that community is here to motivate people and to make them understand that they are not alone and we are creating that community. So challenges is a good way to do that, okay? Because you are going to start seeing based on your settings, the nickname of the person or the first name or different elements of those person. You can add, of course, that social layer on top of that, and social can be different things. It can be friending, and we know that people with friends are, let's say, about 20 more percent more active than users without friends. Okay, so of course, social is a very important component as well. But on the other side, from privacy matters, okay, we understand that some of our clients they are a bit concerned about that, and they don't want to deploy a full social functionality. So basically, the leaderboard would be only based on the nickname, for instance. You will only see the nickname of the users. So all those elements are important in order to engage into a specific communities.
Okay, so there is a it all starts as a community.
Correct.
So automatically, okay, cool. And there is
Yeah.
a person who is making sure that this community is engaged, and they can also, let's say, onboard people within the
Correct.
experience, right?
That's correct. For those challenges, for the challenges, but it's true for any gamification features of our platform. We need an engagement manager anytime, an engagement manager or an engagement specialist, but we need someone who's going to run the show, okay, for the
Mm-hmm.
platform. At Dacadoo, we always make that analogy or that comparison with a DJ, okay?
Uh-huh.
Like the DJ is going to be the person who's going to make people dance, is going to make sure that people don't stay close to the bar, but they come to the dance floor, and all those kind of things. That the DJ is going to play different type of music and see, okay, which one is the most appealing, etc., etc. It's exactly the same for the engagement specialist. If we take the example of the goals, for instance, okay, we have on our side a set of standard goals which we know they perform well, they perform very well. But at a certain point, you have users that they have been here for a few months, okay, and they are looking for new content. Then it's the role of the engagement specialist slash manager or the community manager to find a way to engage again those users with new goals. Okay, so that's part of that. That's part of that experience. So we always need someone to run the show with the platform. The platform itself cannot be run.
Mm, sure, it makes sense because on the one hand you form habits, and there is a lot of like repetition, but it cannot be boring. So in a way,
Correct.
there needs to be someone who is just like introducing new energy every now and again,
Exactly.
right? With
Exactly.
sincerity.
That's correct.
Um,
And people are going to look at the data, to understand, okay, what is the most appealing for my audience, maybe for some specific segments as well, because you can start to talk about segments. Maybe they are going to adjust the rewards or the point system. They are going to adjust the content, plug new content, extra, extra. If you want your platform to live, then you need to provide valuable, relevant, and engaging content.
mm, and
Yeah.
here,
But this also does not mean that you need like many engagement people to
Mhm.
manage a large population. This can be one person or a team of a few people managing millions of users. So
That's correct.
that's like Geoffrey was saying, if you put the music correctly in the club, you can entertain millions of people with the right music. So the effort can be really low, but you need to apply it and you need to know what is in right now.
mhm,
And with our insights that we provide to the companies. So we have dashboards with insights where they can understand what is working, what is not working, what are my population. Do I have maybe older people that have troubles maybe walking, sleep?
Mm.
So I can identify from the data points what is the content that I most probably should offer to make sure that those people feel that they are getting value out of it.
Sure. I really like the analogy of a DJ. I haven't thought about it this way, but it absolutely makes sense that if you are a good one, you can engage different types of people, right? And then you can entertain volumes. Um, you've mentioned younger, older. So I wanted to ask you about, let's say, your experience and, the kind of like difference when it comes to approach towards like, younger audience, let's say 25, 35, or like 20, 30, or like audience like in their 40s, 50s, 60s. How does it work? Are there any significant differences when it comes to engagement?
I'm going to take that one, Jonas, if you don't mind, because honestly, it's not an easy question. Health is already a complicated topic for young people. Okay, when you are 20, 25, you don't really care about your health, and we can really see that in our segmentation of our users, because we can see that the retention after 90 days, for instance, is definitely lower for young people compared to a population of
Mhm,
30, 40, 50, 60 years old. Okay.
mhm,
Um, so usually they drop quicker, and that's why it needs to be balanced, I would say, with a different experience or rewards. Okay. You cannot propose the same content to someone who's 20 versus someone who's 50. Okay, a person who's 50 might be interesting about weight management, maybe diabetes support programs. Okay, which
mhm,
might not be something that you are willing to reward because it's more about education, it's more about prevention. But a person of 20 might be more interesting about the reward, what can I get in terms of voucher to my favorite electronic shop? Can I get exclusive ticket for a concert? I don't know, all these kind of things.
mhm.
One more time, if we take the example of the concert, I know that my little sister is not going to go to the same concert as I'm going. We have
Yeah.
different tastes, we have different age as well. So that's why the type of reward is playing a crucial role for the age segmentation,
Mhm,
such as the mechanics and the content.
mhm. It's interesting. You've mentioned rewards. Basically, this is this extrinsic motivation. It's something that I'm gonna get in exchange for my effort versus something that is intrinsic. So I'm really interested. And I think that it's true that I remember myself, in my 20s. So then health was just there. I mean, I didn't need to think about it because I was fortunate enough to be really healthy. So, I didn't have any particular even, challenges, problems, so I wasn't curious how to maintain. But
Fair.
now, in my 40s, maintenance is a thing. So suddenly I just like
Yes.
see a huge difference between me when I'm, let's say, I've slept well, I've eaten well, and I've practiced, like exercised, versus me, after, let's say, a night with like with 4 hours sleep, right? So then there is a change and is visible immediately. So, would you say that there is a certain like a rule that for younger audience it's going to be more extrinsic motivation and more rewards, and for, let's say, older audience it's going to be education, it's going to be this professional support? How do you see that?
So I would say yes, based on my marketing acumen. Okay.
Hmm.
I cannot say yes if I look at the data, because for now on our side, it's too complicated to look at the aggregated data regarding these kind of things, because many things can change from a client to another, extra. So at least as a marketer, this would be the direction that I'm taking, because I can see as well that, the most downloaded apps for young people are usually steps apps that are going to give you, a certain amount of money after a certain period of time, so those gamified app, etc., etc.
Hmm.
Now, even those apps, if you are super active, etc., they still give at least 2 times less than what our clients are giving to their members, for instance. Okay, so that's why we are always trying to make sure that people understand, okay, what can I get if I'm one of the active users of that platform?
Mhm.
And we are also not looking at users just downloading the application or joining the platform, quickly doing something and then going away. Um, Health is a long-term work that you have to take into account. So we don't want people to just come quickly or get their rewards and then again leave, but it's a thing that you maintain.
Mhm.
As Geoffrey was saying, or I think you were saying it too, Eric, uh, young people don't need to take into account much things to live healthy. They just recover very easy and that's it.
Yeah.
But if we start making the right choices, the right habits when they are young, it's much easier afterwards. Again, eating fruits, if you start in your 20s, you like it, you just keep eating, you don't need to change anything later on, and then you are actually healthier. So those are things that even for young people, the intrinsic motivation, we really have to manage it properly, because otherwise they will just be after the points. They will
Mm.
maybe leave quickly. And this is where we work very hard with our clients to make sure that the whole population stays in the platform.
Perfect. Um, so I wanted to ask you about this particular journey towards, um, let's say, this period where the motivation might be extrinsic. Let's say that you are, let's say, new. Let's say that you didn't have a lot of good habits, and this, like tool, the application helps you form good habits. But then eventually somewhere else, like as you said, Jonas, it's a long-term game. So after, let's say, several years of behaving, in a certain, maintaining some quality of life, then you basically like it. It's like with exercise. At first, for people who haven't exercised, it's difficult and it's tiresome, and they don't feel good necessarily after the training. But say, for people who have been doing it for years, they can't wait. They really wish they would just exercise, because they feel better afterwards, right? And it just improves everything. So, um, what are your, let's say, design tips or any learnings how to move from this extrinsic motivation towards intrinsic, where I'm in this position where, okay, I enjoy it, I like it, so in a way I don't even need any external tools to keep me going.
That health is, as I said, health is a complicated topic. Usually, and we always say to our clients, you should make sure that when you acquire a new user, they come from a reason, but not necessarily for the technology. For instance, it's a thing to say, join our platform, okay, and we will propose you a challenge. But it's another thing to say, come, we have a super nice challenge for you. If you want to participate, you need to download our platform. Okay.
Mm,
Then it's changing completely the experience. And this is what we say with our clients. First of all, what we want is sustainable engagement. Okay. And we know that usually we have sustainable engagement for high performer or people that are already onboarded into a better lifestyle and health journey, etc., etc. Our role at this moment is actually to try to capture the other ones, those who want, maybe who are not aware about what they could do or how they could change their lifestyle. Those ones, it's more difficult to catch them. And what we do usually is we always say, okay, create an event that will make people come from a different reason than lifestyle, wellness, and well-being at the very beginning. Okay, so like that we hook them, and then when we have that period of time for a challenge, for instance, because a challenge can be about 3 weeks to 1 month, then you have 3 weeks to 1 month to educate people about, okay, this is what you can actually do with the platform. You can actually take a goal if you want to sleep better. You can take a goal if you want to listen to a specific relaxing music and to have a mindfulness session. You have some different badges, we called achievements, okay, that you can reach where you can get rewarded about that. Okay. And then you are slowly trying to change the experience to move people from just a reward, I would say, okay, to okay, let's work together on the sustainable engagement and to make sure that you are going to have a healthier lifestyle.
Hmm. Okay, thank you. So now I understand it. That basically, if you design a challenge, it, you could use a like this time period in order to educate people and give them maybe some
Correct.
smaller tasks at first, right? Chunks. They don't need to be like they don't need to jump into super regular, super demanding exercises first. They should
No,
basically go small.
it, I would say it's a little bit like when it's January, the month of January, you can see a lot of people are going to register into a fitness center. Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm seeing the coach saying the same thing. Don't come like 5 times a week for the first 2 weeks, because on the third week, you will be completely exhausted. Okay. We need to give a break to those users, or you need to, one more time, we need to educate them to be more frequent but less intense, because we know that it will drive the best outcomes, not only in terms of health, but also in terms of numbers of interaction for our clients, in terms of data update, etc., etc.
Okay. So here, as Jonas mentioned at the beginning, that it's not either frequency or intensity, but it's about balancing it out. So
Yes,
at first, it would be designed for frequency with lower intensity, and then according to like whatever a person would like to, they could either go harder or
correct.
maintain long-term goals.
And we have that recommendation engine who's going to recommend you some goals based on your activities with a certain level, for instance. Yeah,
Perfect.
Another feature that we have, so when a user onboards our platform, and this is on the white label the case, and some of our API clients, they do the same, I answer a few questions about myself. So, for example, my age, my height, my weight, and my gender. So with those informations, we calculate a health score. And this health score is a number from 1 to 1,000. And it represents more or less like the higher the number, the healthier I am. And this, I can compare my health score with anyone. So if I can even compare it with my grandmother, because her score will be normalized to her. So
Mm,
to me, so we can always compare the numbers between each other. And this is a score. For me, I think it's 790 currently. Geoffrey, pretty similar, and it's a number that gives the user a mirror of how healthy I am. Now we are introducing with the generation 5 that we are soon releasing a new concept that is bringing this to the next level, and this actually works a lot with the intrinsic mechanisms. And this new feature, it's called My Health Score Potential. And the idea is, okay, I onboard to the platform, I get my health score, and then what do I need to do to increase this number? And we are then proposing goals to the user and doing a simulation of what would be my health score if I do this goal. And we recommend the user a few goals, and they can really see, okay, I want, for example, in my case, I am doing very good in activity. So I do not need to focus on more exercise. I should focus probably more on sleep. So the app will propose me to follow goals that encourage me to sleep better. Maybe do not use your phone while in bed,
mhm,
or um, have a routine on when going to bed that I'm sure that I have my 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So those are then tips and hints that we give the user while they do the goal. So I will be proposed goals about sleep and a few others, and I can then really pick the one that I think will be the best for me. And I will hopefully see my health score increasing. And this is something that we are not paying out users credits or money to increase it. It's really something intrinsic. I see my number increasing,
mhm.
and therefore I know that I'm doing something for my health.
Okay, now I understand it. Yeah, it's definitely powerful if you can measure something and if you can quantify. Then it is, as you mentioned, it's a sort of like a mirror, and probably all of us at certain point in life, we would like to make sure that we still like, yeah, do our best in order to keep as healthy for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So even the quantification alone gives you a solid motivation to work on certain aspects. You've mentioned food, activity, and sleep. What other elements are there within the health score?
We have, I just have to to book myself. Okay. So we have self-control. That is usually how good do I do not take some things. For example,
Mm,
uh, am I not smoking? Do I have under control how much fast food or how many bad things that I'm doing to myself? So that's the self-control. How well do I have myself under control? And we have activity, we have mindfulness, we have sleep, as you mentioned, we have mental well-being. This is about how is my well-being really and my mental state. So we have a few questions here for the user to answer. We have also some recommendations on how to make this better. And the last two is nutrition, as we mentioned, and then we have also the physical health. And physical health is about what is my weight, maybe not maybe, but what is my resting heart rate. So those are things that how is my body? I don't have so much influence directly on it, but by applying a healthier lifestyle, I do improve my body, so my physical health, and I improve also my mental well-being. That's
mhm.
why our wheel of life is composed of those 7 elements, and the 2 ones that I influence with my lifestyle is the physical health and the mental well-being.
Okay, thank you for explaining. And it's great that you also have those elements that you need to reduce or actually stop doing. Very often, there are products that help people drive changes towards those positive elements, but I do believe that it's equally important to have clear boundaries and just, yeah, reduce the unnecessary or unhealthy stuff as well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It's like financial well-being. You don't always look into how do I earn more money,
mm,
but you also have to look into how do I spend maybe less on certain things that make no sense. So health is exactly the same thing.
Perfect. That's a really great comparison. Um, thank you. So if we think about those enterprises, like organizations that are mostly interested in these insights, what would these be? Where is, like, dacadoo most prominent? In which industries or what kind of businesses might get the most benefit?
Today, it's mainly about insurers and healthcare providers. Okay, retailers as well, but insurer and healthcare providers, so I would say, are the main one. For insurer, they mainly want to improve, the member engagement. They want to encourage preventive health behaviors. Okay, so they try to incentivize people to get a healthier lifestyle, of course, with the end goal to reduce the claims and potentially the cost of those claims. So that's why they're using gamification, higher adoption of the wellness program.
Mm,
Um, for healthcare, usually it's a bit different because they aim to enhance patient adherence to their treatments or plan, okay, in order to
okay.
improve the long-term outcomes. So usually um, they will try to have some support programs, okay, or personalized gamified intervention for chronic disease management, okay. Here with healthcare, usually we talk a little bit less about rewards, okay, because we are more on the, as I said, prevention support
Mhm,
programs, okay. So there is still that aspect of gamification, but it will be more to, yeah, to trigger, of course, to trigger some sustained engagement.
mhm. And what kind of, if we could maybe give some examples of how gamification might be used in both of these industries. So maybe let's start with insurance first. Um, how could it be used? Just some sort of like a,
I-
profit.
insurer, it's pretty much what we have described until then. Okay, so meaning you have challenge, you have goals, etc., in order to drive more interaction from those users. So we are pretty established into that area. For healthcare, the very first thing usually that they do is what will be the journey that we, well, first of all, sorry, which disease, chronic disease support programs do they want to establish? Okay, and based on that, what will be the uh, client journey or end user journey associated to that? Okay, so we are going to help them with our features to integrate their content or their support programs, okay, into our platform, and they will start to um, nudge their patients, okay, to make sure that they follow the meditation, for instance, or mainly the lifestyle recommendation, because we are not a medical platform, okay? So it's mainly about a lifestyle recommendation. Okay, have you been doing your stretch? Have you been did you take an appointment with your nutritionist, for instance, and all those kind of things? And based on that, after that, of course, they can start to have some sort of reward system, mainly with points, okay, where they will assign points for specific action, like, okay, great, we have noted that you have your consultation with the nutritionist, for instance, or we have noticed that you have been following our podcast on internet, etc., etc.
Mhm. Okay, and then clearly I can see the benefits coming from this actually habit formation when you are either recovering or in the preventive process, right? So
Sick will need to do it.
definitely
Yeah.
there's been some lag,
Yeah,
unfortunately, but we're back.
you're back.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you about any surprising behaviors or any surprising
Oh,
trends that
maybe just quickly, sorry.
Mhm.
So Geoffrey mentioned the two areas where we are traditionally are active. So this is healthcare and insurances. But what we are seeing mostly coming up now with new clients from us is retail and the
Yes.
banking sector.
Mm,
So those are two new areas where we are seeing a lot of traction, where our clients are really being happy adopting our platform. And then the story is again, we have similar, so that it's more or less the same features, but they apply it in a different way to get more engagement. In retail, this is about what do I buy? So am I buying the healthy choices, and they are rewarding users on buying the healthy choice. So this is no longer about making sure that they reduce the claims, but that they are actually selling the things that either they have a higher margin on, or where they can say, we are making a difference in the population by making sure we are pushing the right the right food that is healthier.
uh-huh. Does it require, let's say, a business with a purpose? I'm thinking about like, would you say that every single retailer could use such a platform and use those gamification mechanics in a similar way, or it actually needs to be, let's say, something like a company that is introducing organic foods to the market, or something that is locally produced, and then you have, let's say, challenges that are designed in order to support local distributors, or what is your experience?
It is really both. So you can have any type of retailer, because some of them they want to bring people back into their shops.
Mm,
So what they can do is, for example, give a small reward that makes the user get it physically in the shop, and this might then increase the sales. So they are actually buying some other things. So it does not need to be really like local and or only organic, but can be any. And with like any other rewards um, mechanisms that people have, we have to be sure that people are not just accumulating points and not spending that. We see this in the airline industry where people have millions of points. I do not know what to do. I know that the items that I can buy in such a airline shop is not really appealing. I don't want to spend half of the money on something overpriced just to spend my points there and get something that I actually do not need. So that's I think the big advantage of using a platform such as ours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's like I already feel that point redemption is like a huge challenge in loyalty, and very often you will see like people who is don't see anything that is worthwhile when it comes to spending the points. So it's a good idea to use gamification instead. Um, what was the second industry that you've mentioned? Because apart from retail, that was also a different one.
Banking, but I
Oh,
think Geoffrey
banking.
has something on retail.
Yeah, no, it was just a generic consideration about rewards because we see big differences in terms of redemption. First of all, the impact of the redemption on the retention is just huge, and we can really see that on all of our dashboards. And we see a clear difference between insurance and retail. I mean, retail, they are really used to this type of mechanism, okay? How you can make sure that people can redeem their points, how can you make sure that they can redeem that in shop, extra. The frequency, of course, of the purchase into a retail change completely the game on that. But working with retail is on our side uh, a pleasure because there is a lot of dynamism, and the way the loyalty schemes are built are completely different, bringing a new experience, bringing also new inspiration for insurance. And we also take the inspiration from insurance into we bring that to retailers. So it's a good match and mix, I would say, or mix and match.
Yeah, absolutely. That there is this ideas flowing in from different industries, and then you, as a like software provider, you learn constantly, and there is like high intensity learning along the way. Um, when it comes to banking, I believe that it's about, let's say, creating challenges around onboarding users into new products, thinking about finance in this like way. Yeah.
It's a bit different on the financial institutions and banking that adopt our platform. We don't see them using social aspects currently, and they're mostly focused on giving achievements, um, making sure the users are following goals, and this can be again goals in a lifestyle, but it can be also on financial goals. So I want to save money to buy a house. And this again, with our platform, you can set hints, tips. I can do daily check-ins. We can track other things in order to support the user to achieve their goals. And this is something we are seeing also really a really big interest in those in this industry.
Yes, in banking and bank assurance, both of them.
That sounds really interesting because usually, especially with projects like a house or like this is usually long term, and depending on the way you behave, it's either quicker or longer, and sometimes it might be like years saved, or like you could probably build a house a few years earlier if you actually stick to your goal and make good choices.
And it's very comparable to health.
Mm.
It's not something you build from or you decide to do tomorrow. I want to live healthier. So yes, I can decide to live healthier, but I will see the impact in my health in a long term. And same thing for saving for bigger things.
Mhm. Absolutely. Okay, so I can see already that there are so many contexts. I believe that our audience also like can automatically think about a particular behavior change design in their industry. But I wanted to ask you about any surprising behaviors or any surprising trends that you have seen in the app recently.
Uh, s- we do have, so on our side, we are always observing, okay, the combination of our features, for instance, how we can drive, a better engagement in order to get more interaction also with the users. So, for instance, with the challenge feature that we have, there is something that we observe which is called the goal gradient effect. Okay, so basically, when participating to a challenge with a common goal, you can see that the engagement of the users is going to be reinforced um, and they are going to be more and more motivated when they will reach the end of the challenge. Okay, so usually we have an increase of 20% of participation rate between the beginning of a challenge and the end of a challenge. And what makes us what we try to do is to give some sort of sense of accomplishment. So we are using different features of our platform to display, some encouraging messaging about, yeah, guys, continue, keep going. You have reached now 70%, you have reached 75% extra, because we know that when we give that sense of accomplishment, people are more and more involved because they really want to reach the goal. So this is one of the behavior that we can see. Of course, with challenges here, we can always see, a couple of people trying to cheat, of course, because they want to increase the performance, extra. And it's always fun to see how people can get creative actually when there is this kind of things.
Could you give any sort of like interesting example of a person who wants to complete a goal so much that they try to use like a different way of doing it?
Oh, usually, I mean, we can see sometimes people, having some crazy performance, like, I don't know, running a marathon in just an hour and 30 minutes. So, of
Okay.
course, our system are spotting, this kind of things, because it means that the person has just been, switching the mode on the connected tracker, but they were driving, for instance, all these kind of things. We have seen, definitely, this is the type of thing that we can see, but we can spot that.
That's so cool. Yeah, suddenly you can see, for example, like a regular employee, right, of a financial institution, and they have like better results than top sport performer. So then, yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So cool. Thank you.
Sometimes you also have to ask, like, is cheating might still be good. So if we think about Duolingo, they're very experts in gamifying language learning. So they have those tricks, and you see people that are stressed out because they do not want to lose their streak. So what do? They just go quickly in the app. They do a very short lesson just to have the streak going on. Did they really learn something? Probably not, but it made them maybe be aware, hey, this is something that I want to. I want to learn this specific language. So are they cheating the system? Maybe you could say so, but they are still being active in the area that they want. So even if someone is cheating the system, in our case, like Geoffrey was saying, they are still aware, hey, I know that I should live healthier. I know about those things. And this in one way makes the user engaged to the company that we are working with. So it can be a retailer. Well, I know that I am a customer. I'm a loyal customer. I'm doing this even if I'm cheating. It doesn't really matter because I am being active in with this specific brand. So in the end, I think both can win, even if it's about cheating or
Sure.
making the system behave in a different way that we are expecting it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. When you are cheating, but at least in a good direction, right? You are still like, it is a part of the process sometimes. You wish you had more time, or you wish you were more persistent, organized, maybe had like, more stamina. So yeah, I can imagine that. When it comes to Duolingo, I also try to keep my streak going, and very often I find myself in a situation where I just do it because of the application, not because I'm in the mood. But the chunking part, I think, is critical here. That you don't throw some massive challenges at people, but you actually allow them to do small steps, but just be frequent, right, and just go like persistently towards the goal. I wanted to ask you about some things that are coming up. So actually, what is the future going to be looking like for you guys? Like, what are the, let's say, elements that you perhaps would like to introduce to the platform? Where is the direction that you are developing your solution?
Yeah. So what we are working to is actually hyper personalization.
Mm,
So we know every user is different than another. we all have different motivations. What makes us wake up in the morning? What are our fears? What do we want to achieve in the future? So by being hyper personalized, and we have many data points from the user, we never ask data points that we do not use. So we are not just collecting data just for the sake of collecting, but those data points we want to use even more to make sure that your experience with the platform is different from another one, uh, to help you actually achieve your health goals. And of course, this always ties back down to the company, so the brand that we are working with. They want that you are active with their brand, but we are helping the end user with their end goals. And then that's why we are releasing this new feature, the My Health Score Potential that I mentioned with the Generation 5,
Mhm.
where we are very hyper personalized on what is good for you might not be the best for Geoffrey and maybe not the best for me. So really, everyone is different. So
Mhm.
that's one big thing that we are releasing. And we are also releasing the dacadoo Agentic Coach. And that is the AI coach that will help users interact directly with the AI. And the AI will have all the tools at disposition to give insights and also coach you into the direction that you want to go.
Mm.
So that's not only applying OpenAI or any of those models, but with tools that we have and with the data, we are really guiding the users into the right direction. So those two things for me are crucial ways to make sure that the user is going the direction that they want.
Mhm.
And I hope we achieve this and make in the end our partners happier by applying our platform.
Absolutely. It's a very important thing that you've mentioned, that this designing for behavior change is actually about uncovering, discovering the goals and aligning the goals with, the way the app works, instead of like going against somebody's preferences, right? Because then usually we have a lot of, like, we can see significant dropout, that people are not so open to change, apparently. So it's very important actually to understand those personal goals and be able to align, yeah, the challenges, and however, like, the app is being designed, sort of like, that the challenges are being created. And also, yeah, this coach, this agentic coach that you've mentioned, also I can see a huge possibility here, and a lot of value, a lot of contextual information provided.
Yeah. And it's giving the users the choice. So we don't want to, um, like in the language learning, like in Duolingo again, you have many paths that you can follow. They give you more or less a line that you have that you can follow, but you can also do pick and choose from your own in certain areas. And we believe that this is really something that is required to make sure that people stick to the platform. Because again, everyone has different needs, different motivations, and yeah, if they cannot choose, they will pick another one.
Absolutely. Um, Okay, so thank you so much. I think that, we could wrap it up. We have covered like the most important elements that we have planned to. Obviously, we could discuss, every industry in depth, and we could like talk more about gamification and your learnings in a particular context. But yeah, I definitely want to make sure that we share the links to the study that you have mentioned at the very beginning. We have links to case studies. Um, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
No, I think on that we're good. We'll definitely share the link to the study, the link to the white paper as well. Okay, we have a couple of infographic to simplify a little bit what we have been discussing as well. So no, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you also everyone who joined this video. If you have, yeah, and if you would like to dive into details, there's going to be everything in the description of this video. So thank you so much, and see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.